Hi, I'm Braden, and I'm a hypothesis man.
This is a boat. A sail. With a fan. And the sailboat goes that way. And little clouds.
I don't think we need clouds.
Sunshine.
They kind of distract from the beautiful illustration.
I don't think so.
So our hypothesis on the can you blow your own sail is a 100% no, won't work. 1, because of Newton's third law, and 2, because of Newton's first law. They state that you cannot move or have momentum in one direction without an equal and opposite force in the other direction. And because the fan is blowing forward and it's on the same unit, it's going to be blowing backwards with an equal amount of force as the sail is going to be blowing forwards. So, no, it's not going to work.
I think that it's not going to work, but I think it's not going to work for different reasons, such as controlling variables like the wind and like getting Aaron to actually be cooperative and stuff like that. So on the first trial of our small scale test, we wanted to make sure that the fan was powerful enough to just move the skateboard with the sail attached first before we started attaching the fan onto the skateboard. So we just had the skateboard on the ground and then the fan separate, and we put it on to see if it would move, and it did. So we moved on to the second trial where we actually put the fan on the skateboard, which is part of the myth. You know, the myth states that the fan needs to be on the sailboat. So we put the fan onto the skateboard and it started to go backwards.
So to test why it went backwards, we had a skateboard. It's a beautiful skateboard with just the fan on it. And so it flew in this direction, but the skateboard moved that way. So we realized that because of the momentum that the air gains going this way, it has to be countered out by moving backwards that way.
So in the second trial, we decided to put the fan on the skateboard because that was part of our myth. We had to have the fan on the boat. And it started to go backwards.
So we decided to test what the skateboard would do without the sail on it.
So, problem identified.
Yeah. So we realized that that's probably because when you have momentum, if one thing's going one way, you have to have something that gains momentum in the other direction. So the wind meant that the fan was moving backwards. And when the fan is just mounted on a table or on the ground, all that momentum is going into the earth, and it's not noticeable. But when you put it on wheels, it can actually move backwards with that momentum. So for the fourth trial, we loosened the sail and put it back on the skateboard in an attempt to capture more of the air to balance out the momentum going backwards. So it actually did manage to cancel out the movement, and we just had our skateboard sitting there, but it was obviously wanting to go both ways because of the different forces.
So why are we doing this?
I have no clue.
Drop.
Okay, so when we do our full-scale test, we have to watch out for possible areas where something might get in the way of a proper experiment thing. So we have to make sure that there's not any wind around where we're sailing or any waves that could push our boat, because then we won't know whether it's the fan.
Also, we're gonna have to try and reduce the resistance that the water's gonna apply. Try and figure out what we're gonna need to make it just as efficient as possible, because that's really what we're gonna need when we go out there. If it's not efficient, then it's not gonna run. And that's a fact.
Okay, so Caitlin and I decided to take a GoPro on the boat, and we're gonna go leaf blower the heck out of this thing.
Alright, so I wasn't there, so what happened?
Well, basically, we went out there 3 different times, and it took us hours, and we still could not account for all the variables. There was either too much wind, maybe just barely enough wind that it would ruin the experiment, or we couldn't get the leaf blower to work. And so what I decided to do was I went and I did another small scale test that was different than the skateboard in my pool. And I took a little model scale sailboat and a little fan, and that wouldn't work either. The fan the footage was terrible, but the fan itself wouldn't work. So basically, our hypothesis was right, and it just didn't work.
Alright, so sounds like a fun time. I suppose that wraps it all up. It obviously proved our thesis right, which was that it wouldn't work based on Newton's laws. And it would just stay in the same place. But it is sad that we couldn't get the test to work right, and that would definitely be something we could try and work on next time.
Yeah.
All right.
Is it?
Busted!